What was your thing in high school?
Like, what did I...
were you an athlete? Were you a chess clubber?
Yeah.
All theater?
Yeah. But I had I couldn't get into any play. Like, I would audition for every single play.
Then were you in the theater?
Well, I technically...
Lauren can't get in a play. Is she in theater?
I hung out with theater kids, and I would get into, like, one play a year. And I would always I got into, like, the freshman production, which was, like, a play, just some random thing. And then I got into, like, the variety show every year, which was called Yamo, which was the Northwestern show was called it was something similar until ours was like a spin-off of that.
Okay.
It wasn't called Yamo, it was called something else. Anyway, so we had like the shows written and created by the students, and then like seniors would like write the show and direct it, and then like they would cast it, and then have all these younger kids be in it. So I was in that every year, and that was like the main thing I get into. But it was also the most popular show at school. Like everyone would go to that show versus like Shakespeare or whatever. Like all the kids would make sure you see Yamo because it was like the fun, funny sketch show.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I always got into that, and that was always fun. And then I'd get into like comedy here and there. But my school had so many plays, and I would audition for all of them and never make it, and it was always very devastating. I remember like, distinctly like, crying about it all the time. So thankfully, when I was a senior, one of my like directors suggested that I take classes at IO, and that's how I got into improv.
That's crazy. So when you were a senior, you started traveling into the city to take IO?
Yeah. And that was so lucky because he could see that his name was Aaron Carney, and he used to work for Second City in many different ways, one of which being set design, and he had a few different titles over there. But he could see that like I liked comedy, but there weren't that many opportunities, and so he was like, you should do these classes and take the adult classes and don't take the teen classes at Second City. You should do the adult stuff. So
Second City guy recommending IO.
Yeah, because of the age limit, because it was like I'd either have to you had to be 19 to take the adult classes at Second City, and I was just turning 18 my senior year. And so he said, rather than do the teen, I should do the adult. Yeah.
Heather Ann Campbell was somebody that did IO as a teen.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She was in there really early, like 14, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Were the theater...
Well, fuck her. I'm just kidding.
Were the theater kids cool in your school? Was that sort of... It sounds like it was a artsy liberal town.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like... People liked the theater kids. It wasn't like we were like outcasts or something, but I wouldn't say it was like the coolest thing ever or something. But, we had our own thing. We didn't care. So that was nice.
Yeah. Were you a good student?
I was pretty good, but I didn't really care about it that much. I really just wanted to be an adult. Like that was my whole... I just remember like waiting to like get out of high school and wanting to get out so bad. So I just did like, I did my best, but I didn't like go above and beyond.
Yeah. And now you're an adult who wants to be a kid and play pretend all the time.
Yeah. Isn't that ironic? It's so...
Don't you think? So you start taking classes at IO. How far do you get before you graduate?
I got through level, I want to say probably like level 3 or 4 by the end of my senior year. And then I stayed, I went to college at DePaul University in Chicago to keep doing improv. So.
Why DePaul?
Partly because my mom went there, and that was like some
legacy.
Yeah, and then also because I just really wanted to keep staying in Chicago and doing improv, and it was like a good school.
Is DePaul right downtown?
They have a downtown campus and in Lincoln Park, so I was mostly in Lincoln Park because of my major, which was English.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I kept sticking around just to finish the classes, and so like my freshman year of college, I finished all of the classes at IO, and then got on a team and.
As a kid, were you traveling into the city to watch these shows?
Well, I had gone to like 2 Armandos with some like a group of friends. Some of my like older theater friends would go to IO and stuff, and I remember going with them probably just once or twice, and I was blown away. I was like amazed by what it was. But when I started the classes, I had no idea really what it was or like how it worked, and I had never heard of a herald, and they were talking about heralds so casually in class that I didn't want to ask what it was because I didn't know, and I never saw a herald until after I was already doing them in class. So I would never go out to see shows while I was in class. I guess it wasn't a requirement because I would have obviously had to, but at the time I didn't, because I was in school all week, and I would go to class on Saturdays. So I never saw any shows really throughout my classes, and now I would say people should watch shows, but at the time it was kind of good because I didn't really think, I didn't have any preconceived notions of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So in some ways that was good for me. In other ways, I would say obviously you should see shows so you can understand what the fuck is happening. But in a sense, I don't regret it. I mean, and I couldn't have changed it. It wasn't like I had the opportunity to go in every night and see stuff. So you know, it kind of just was what it was.
Well, could you even watch shows? Wasn't there a bar there for a while?
There was, but they
Although I
it
know
was-
Heather Campbell said she used to always sneak in.
No, I always went there. I think you just couldn't order drinks. Because I wasn't 21 for like the first few years that I was there. And
Right.
I always went to IO almost every night. So, yeah, like once I was in college. I think it was they only checked your ID for getting drinks and stuff. And I wasn't interested in drinking really. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So did you get on a team right away after you finished classes?
Yeah, I did. And I was also on a team at the Playground Theater at the same time, which I got into like in my 5B classes that I got into a playground team. This was like an independent theater in Chicago, and
I think Middleditch mentioned, or Middleditch, yeah.
he
mentioned
probably did a lot of stuff there. We were there around the same time. And it was like a great theater because you could put up your own shows, and like they also had house teams.
Right.
And there weren't classes. So it was just based on, you know, your skill level or whatever. And
Yeah.
that was a really great opportunity to start doing shows while I was still doing classes.
So you're in college. How many shows a night are you doing?
I was doing
Or
a week.
guess.
I was probably doing like at least 4 shows a week plus rehearsals and stuff. I was
Wow.
going out all the time. It was to the point where I definitely had like a breakdown every once in a while, like from the amount that I was doing. But I loved doing it. And I would have rehearsals at night because everyone had like day jobs and stuff, and obviously I had school, so like we'd either or on the weekend. So all of my nights were filled usually with improv. And
did you find your class? Did you struggle with classes?
I always had a like rule that I had to get everything done before I went to bed or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Like, so it was like,
for
I
you.
never like I never pulled an all nighter, and I never like, so it was just like, I just had like rules where it was like, I'm going to finish this because I don't want to sit here and fucking die over this paper that I have to write or whatever. I just have to finish it tonight or whatever. So I would do that. And I wouldn't go to shows obviously if I had stuff to do, but I would usually spend my nights going to shows.
Why did you pick English?
That was just the only topic that I really ever cared about. Like I like reading. I'm a good writer. Like I can write a good paper.
What's your go-to bibliography style?
Oh God, APA? I don't know.
Sure.
That's a thing. I think that's the thing. I don't really remember.
I like to throw these zingers out and test people.
That was tricky. I got a little hot in here.
Are you double spacer? Or?
Yeah, double
Are you
spacer.
double space after periods?
No.
Good, thank you.
I never really agreed with that.
No, it doesn't make any sense for our generation because, oh God, I could use this.
Because that's a
rant another
typewriter
day.
thing.
Yeah, it's a typewriter thing. Kerning is
guys.
now a thing. Word processor fonts take into account the space issue.
I'm saying I never understood it.
It's so dumb. Thank
No,
you for
I
seeing
never
eye
did
to
it.
eye with me on that.
Yeah. Never. I never did it. So that was what I just got a degree, like, because I really always wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a degree, and that was important to me.
Were you trying to do theater at DePaul? Is there a big theater at DePaul?
Yeah, it's a theater conservatory, so it's very intense. And so basically, it was like I wanted to do improv, and so you really couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And I probably would have been cut from the theater conservatory immediately. It's so intense. Like
Yeah.
You very few graduate. Like it's like they cut so many every year that to me just sounds like no fun.
Was
So-
there an improv troupe on campus?
Yeah, there was.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't.
Because you were in the big leagues?
Yeah. They were cool. I knew a few of them, and they were called the Cosby Sweaters. Oh shit, that's actually a funny name now. But they were super nice. I think they invited me at one point, and I don't remember.
Did you ever dabble in short form? I feel like most of the college troops do short form.
No, I never did. And they actually did long form because I mean we're in Chicago. I think there was like more opportunity for people to know about what is going on. But I never did short form, and it's one of those things that I still have never really done, but I've like come close to like doing it. Like I auditioned for Boom when I was in Chicago, when I was in college, and like I was put on the short list or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And at that time I was like, oh my God, this would be so cool. But then when I look back, I'm like, I didn't know what short form was. That would have been like so insane. Like the amount of pressure I would have put myself under to learn all these games. And I mean, everyone who goes there usually knows that stuff already.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been cool, but
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you graduated you got your degree in English, right?
Yeah.
And then you're in Chicago. What are you doing for work? Did you get a teaching job or anything?
No, I graduated and then moved to New York.
Right away?
Yeah, like that summer. And I got a job first at a coffee shop, which lasted about a day, and then I worked as a babysitter for my time
Why
here.
New York so quick?
Well, my sketch partner at the time, Candy Lawrence, who's now doing stand-up in LA, and she's really funny. We were working together, and we had a group called the Money Kids, and we wanted to go to LA, and then
Not to be confused with Young Money.
No.
Lil Wayne's record.
No, which he obviously stole from us. But we were gonna go to LA, and then we had met a manager who kind of said that New York was like the place for sketch, and so we got us talking. And then Candy was from New York, so she was like, actually, I want to go be with my family and be closer, and so I want to go to New York. And I was like, well, then I'm going to New York too. So we just moved to New York together.
Oh, cool.
And we were there. I was there for about a year and 3 months, and then moved to LA. So
did you take you found UCB in New York?
Yeah,
right?
and I started taking UCB there.
How did you hear about them?
I just knew about it. I guess just through the improv community as a thing to do in New York, and so I definitely knew I wanted to do that as a way to make friends and, get to perform. So I also didn't know exactly how long I'd be in New York. I thought it'd be about a year. I was in a long distance relationship with my bae.
With your bae.
And, we'd already been long distance for like a year at that point. And so this tacked on another like year and a half to it. So which wasn't the purpose for moving to LA, but it was,
right.
a major influence. But yeah, so I took UCB, and that was great. I did like level 2 through 4 because you could skip 1.
Right.
And then
did you get put on a team there? Because Bangarang was there?
No,
Bangarang
actually,
was
I was in level 4 when they had Herald auditions, and they would not allow me to audition.
Yeah.
And some people have gotten, like, I know Thomas didn't have to, he got through the loophole. So
yeah, he played hard to get.
Yeah.
He was like, I ain't auditioning, or I ain't taking classes.
Right. So he's an anomaly, but I had to finish level 4, and then by that point they had already cast the teams, and I was on my way out the door to LA. So
yeah. So it was a quick year. It was
really quick. I did like Story Pirates there, if you're familiar with that. I don't know if anyone's talked about that on this.
No,
a lot of people on this thing are in it. At least I see a couple names, but or have been in it. But it's a theater company that takes children's stories and like kids stories that kids write and adapts them into sketches and songs.
Oh, that's fun.
It's really fun. And it's really funny, and that was one of like the highlights of my time in New York.
That's not UCB affiliated?
No, it's
cool.
all Northwestern students like. Started actually. Kristen Shaw was a founding member.
Oh, wow.
It's a great company and really, really funny and quality entertainment. But that was a really fun thing to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Did
I
that pay?
Like 2 cents, but it was
2
totally
cents is
fun.
pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Back in mine.
Yeah, no, back in that year, it was a good.
Not in Manhattan, probably. Where were you living in New York?
I lived in Bushwick in Brooklyn.
Fancy.
Yeah, no, it was not fancy.
It wasn't in the Renaissance yet?
No, it was, and we called it East Williamsburg, which it barely was, which is not even Williamsburg. So, we were on the border, but,
were you auditioning for things in New York?
I was freelancing with a commercial agent, and so I would audition every once in a while. And it's very
freelancing
loose.
with a commercial agent.
In New York, there's so much more freelancing with agents.
What does that even mean, though?
It means that they'll send you out, but you're not really signed. So,
I'm not signed with my commercial agent out here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we called it freelancing. I don't know if that's what it's really fucking called. But in New York, and I still think this is true that people call it freelancing, but I would be sent out to like. I'd have probably like one commercial audition a month or whatever.
But did you have another agent that sent you out?
No. I had meetings with multiple agents, and could not get signed by one. And like I remember one woman, I had this horrible meeting. She was like, her office was really dark and like lit by like a little table lamp, and she was seated in a chair talking on the phone, and I came in and sat on like the lowest couch in front of her, where you're just kind of like looking up. And she just was like looking at my resume, and she like didn't believe anything on it. And she was like, "You're 5'10", you're 6 feet tall." And I was like, "No, I'm 5'10". She's like, "You're 6 feet tall." I was like, "Why would I lie?" I didn't understand the concept of like lying to be shorter, which I get now, I guess. But at the time, it seemed so weird. And like she just like was like calling out everything I did. Like, "Well, what's this about?" And I was like, "Oh, that was like a thing I was in Chicago." Like it was just like weird. Of course, she was like complete bullshit. Like all these people are fucking idiots. But I was like 22 or 23 or something, and I was like just
wide-eyed,
like
excited.
We have a meeting, and then it would totally devastate me if they were rude or whatever.
Yeah.
It just would make me cry. Yeah. So the people are horrible.
Yeah. So did you find any sort of success in New York other than
really
discovering UCB?
Yeah, just UCB and making friends and doing indie teams and stuff. That was the highlight for me. And then I moved out here